We're going to finish off now with looking at Xenon in action, and what I've done is, I've used it as an insert on my master output, here within Cubase. I've already set Xenon up with these settings, so let me talk you through what I've done and why. Here within the detector section, I've activated both of those buttons, second order and oversampling. And even though I can't really tell any difference when I've got the second order switched on, I figure it's not going to do me any harm by having it switched on. But I've made sure my oversampling button is switched on to compensate for any intersample peaks. And then just below, with these transient buttons, well, I've chosen the Predict C option because, well, really, I don't want my peaks to clip aggressively hard, in which they would do if I'd have chosen A, the React option. So as I say, I've chosen C to smoothly limit the transients at this first stage. Now I'm going to start playback, and whilst it's playing, I'll talk you through the other settings and why I've made those settings. Here for the transient dial, remember low percentage settings equals less distortion. Consequently, I've set it to 35%, even though I am going to get softer transients because of this. With the release dial, I've used that equation I've talked about a few times already, and I've set this to 120 milliseconds because I know that bounces around in time with the BPM. My transients will now release quickly matched to the tempo, and it also gives a louder perceived level at low percentage values. So with this 120 millisecond setting, I've sort of made a trade-off between introducing transient distortion and less perceived output level. By monitoring this input dial and the main input meters along with the attenuation meters, well, this gives me an opportunity to evaluate how much gain I want to add. I'm being fairly subtle and only adding 2 decibels, but you'll probably notice my left and right attenuation meters are independent, and that's because I've got the link setting over there to 0% to decouple the left and right sides. Now I'm longing for sunlight. I've set the word length buttons to be active at 16-bit and chosen the C setting for noise shape because that's the closest to human hearing. And then with the leveler, well, this is only slight at -2 dB. I only want a gentle, smooth leveling of my output signal. I've got my output dial set to 0 dB. I'm not going to marginally adjust it down because I've got oversample switched on, so I can leave that at 0 dB. And then looking at the in meters, well, I can see they move above 0 dB, which is confirmed here with the attenuation meters too, noting, as I've said already, that the left and right sides react independently. If you see her now, I don't wanna know about. Now maybe I can squeeze more perceived volume by adjusting in up to 3 dB. Now after all this time, it hurts. I see the attenuation meters react to indicate more gain reduction taking place. Every day has been a long and lonely night. Forever darkness, there's no light, and it hurts. Also note here by how much it goes above 0 dB. You can click on it to reset. Now to be honest, that's too much for my taste, so I'm going to dial it back now to +2 dB for my input. Okay, and we'll stop. Right, so that's a good run through then, looking at Xenon in action, and why I've chosen those particular settings for this particular song. I've not explored any of the presets, but of course you can do that. And in fact, that's a good recommendation. With your material, have a look through all the presets and try them out. Some will work and some won't. Some will be quite subtle and some will be too aggressive. So, as I say, just try them out to see what works for you. Right, I'm going to finish up then for this tutorial, and in fact for this full course. Now I know what you're thinking, why goodbye?